Today's guest is someone who truly redefines what it means to deliver full-service real estate and financing at the highest level. Edgar Melo is a top-performing realtor with RE/MAX Escarpment Realty and a driving force behind the Perfect Living Homes team. What truly sets Edgar apart isn't just performance and knowledge, it's his level of service. Edgar and his team offer a guaranteed, seamless experience from start to finish. From financing solutions, home inspectors and stagers, to photographers, marketing specialists, and legal professionals, they've aligned with the very best in the industry to create a true one-stop experience for their clients. Edgar treats every transaction as if it were his own. His innovative marketing strategies, deep market expertise, and relentless commitment to top dollar results have earned him something even more valuable in awards: lifelong clients and relationships and powerful referrals. If you're looking for someone who has gone through many shifting markets and has a strong, diverse perspective in many areas of real estate and finance, you're going to love this conversation. Please welcome Edgar Melo.
Thank you.
Hi, Edgar. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Excellent.
So tell me, how did you start in this business?
Well, I was in the corporate world for many years.
Okay.
And I had a buddy of mine that he said, listen, I'm going to go get my real estate license. And we worked together in the corporate world. He had rental properties. And he says, why don't we do it together? So that started the journey then.
So the rental properties, or
No,
you guys going into real estate?
going into real estate together, because the corporate market was very volatile. We didn't know where we were standing. We didn't know where we were going to be. And we said, let's control our own future. And the only way we could do that was going into real estate.
So what year was that?
2011.
Okay, so that was a little while ago.
Yes.
So you've been through a few different markets, and you've also evolved into the business of financing. How did that happen?
So we started basically our team in 2011. So it was basically Alex and I when we started. Then as we were doing our deals, we found the need of financing.
Of course.
And we found the need that a lot of people needed, not only first mortgages, but second mortgages. And in 2018 is when we started up our own mortgage brokerage, and we started doing lending. So we started off by doing second mortgages and private lending to individuals that needed it. And then eventually we transitioned it into doing firsts and seconds.
Okay, what's the mortgage company you guys own?
It's a franchise for Dominion Lending.
Okay.
So it's based out of Richmond Hill. And we have, I think it's 3 guys now that work for us. But we pretty much can do any deal, any finance deal.
Any deal.
Any deal.
That's a big statement.
It is a big statement, but we're so confident on it. So we'll review any files, we will give you solutions, and we'll even tell you how to get the deals done.
Okay. So obviously you're dealing with A lenders, B lenders, private.
Correct. Yes. So we have a whole
Creative financing.
We don't touch that, but we will look at all different options. Let's just put it that way. We will look at things that make sense for the client. We'll look at what the affordability is. Then we get them a solution. So we pretty much built, like I did a spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet that's done. It takes all the calculations. So basically calculates their income, their debt ratio, and it'll tell them what they'll qualify automatically with the stress test, what their mortgage would be. And that's how we work around with our clients then on that.
So you have a large array of lenders that you work with.
Yes. So anywhere from the chartered banks, to B lenders, private lenders, private institutional lenders. Yes, we have all of them.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I know where I need to go if I need to get financing. So tell me about a success story of yours. I'm sure you have several, personal or a business, but
I'll tell you one that I truly liked. I had a gentleman that we met at an open house.
Okay.
And he says to me, Edgar, you know what? All I want is one lot that I can build a home in Streetsville. Okay. I said, okay, let me see what I can do. Didn't know anything else about him. I had another team member that was working for me at the time. And I said, listen, he's Italian. You deal with him, you're Italian. And you'll have a connect with him and just find him the lot. She didn't do anything. And I followed up with him and I said, listen, are you still looking for a lot? He goes, yeah, we were waiting to hear from you. I go, oh, okay. So I kind of found it strange that there wasn't a follow-up at the time. So I took the lead on that and I found him a lot right by my office in Streetsville, because I used to be located in Streetsville before. And I called him and he came in right away and we were negotiating because we were in multiple offers at that time. And we were negotiating. He was so impressed how I negotiated and got him the deal that not only did we buy the home, we tore it down. We were part of the build process and the design process. We sold him the home. And till this day, I think I've done probably $10 or $12 million worth of deals for him.
So somebody missed out on not following up on that lead.
Exactly. So that's why we say it's important. It's always important to follow up with leads. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to turn from it. And, you know, I went door knocking even in the area, met the son, ended up getting his home listed, bought him like 3 other homes, bought homes for all his siblings. So we even, you know, tried to sell a piece of land that they had for about 80 million, just to give you an idea. So it turned out to be a very good client of ours.
Wow. That was a lot of business from one guy.
Yeah, and actually he joined in doing private lending with us. So we do, you know, deals together now. So we partner up on that. We own a property together as well, a rental property. So they became very, very close, you know, not only close clients, but close friends as well.
That's amazing. I find that a lot of my clients become friends too.
Yeah, my kids actually worked for them over the summertime. So they,
amazing.
Yeah, so they own a like a landscape yard and supply house. So at the time I had said, you know, my son was in university and said, listen, he's looking for a job. In the summertime, he said, bring him over, we'll hire him. And him and the dad were always competing with each other on certain things because they're very competitive both of them. But that's the type of relationship we built with them.
So your son and the gentleman.
And the gentleman, yes.
That sounds like fun. So it sounds like you've had lots of success, but over the years, just like all businesses, have you had any challenges?
A lot of challenges. And, you know, it's about adapting with the people, right? It's adapting with the clientele, adapting to their personalities. I've had a lot of people where they would call and say, well, Edgar, you know what, you're a little bit difficult today, or I can't get a hold of you, or, you know, they would say something to nature and you're like trying to adapt to their style, to who they are, right? So I've had challenges in terms of that because I'm basically a black and white type of guy. So I'll say it the way it is. Some people like it, some people don't. And either some of them will adapt to it, some of them don't. And I forewarn them ahead of time. And I say, listen, if you're going to deal with me, I'm going to tell you the way it is. It's black and white. So I've had a few struggles with that.
Really? I just think you're so... See, that's surprising to me. So what are the... have you ever had any like limiting beliefs or any fears during this time of your business? And if you have, well, you probably have because we all do. What strategies have you implemented to overcome?
So I'm always a very confident person. I always manifest the best and manifest positive things. So I've never really worried about anything. To me, it's always been adapting. If the times are tough, you got to adapt to the times that are tough, and you got to adjust your business strategy to follow the tough times. Same thing when the times are good. You just can never stop. So I always say when the momentum's going, you continue with the momentum. You keep following through and don't let it stop. The moment you get too comfortable, you become complacent, becomes routine, and then things tend to slack off. So I don't allow that. I just continue to push forward.
Yeah, that's something that I talk to my coaching clients about as well, is you have to pivot. Nothing ever stays the same. And the person with the most flexibility always wins. So you have to, so it sounds like that's something that you employ, is learning to pivot as things change.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to follow the change. You got to go with the flow, right? And I always say that, right? So, if your client wants to see a home at 8 o'clock at night, you better make sure you're available. Go there, be with them, right? You never know when the next sale comes. That's the thing in this job. You never know. So I always say you got to take it while it comes.
Yeah. Well, it's seasonal, right? I mean, not seasonal. I mean, there's ways of ensuring we have a steady income, but definitely we have our stronger times of the year. And if you're prepared to put extra effort out at those times, then you'll benefit. So what do you think is a quality of yours, a personal quality that helps you succeed?
I'm very personable. People can talk to me. People can come to me. They know that I'll give them sound advice. I treat them as if they're my own family. I have a lot of people have trust in me, and they're very loyal. And because there's people that have known me for umpteen of years, and I've done business with them in the past, so the trust factor is always there. And they know I'll treat them like family. They know I will never, mislead them or misguide them. They know I'm always going to give them the best advice possible. So they always come to me because they know I'm going to give them that sound advice.
Right. Well, it's all about trust, right?
Absolutely.
And once they trust you, they just know where they can go to get the right advice.
Yes.
So you're on the ground, it sounds like, in Southern Ontario. And so what do you think the vibe is? Like, how are people thinking right now?
In terms of the market?
Yeah.
Well, I think people are afraid of the market, right? I guess people don't understand that. We always hear that we have an abundance of inventory.
Yes, that's what we're hearing.
But the inventory is all depends on what the houses are priced at too. If it's priced at market value, not a market value, what are their expectations? Because a lot of the sellers right now don't have the expectation, or they have the expectation that their home is worth a certain dollar compared to what the market value is, right?
That's true.
And the other part of it is for the amount of homes that are listed versus the amount of buyers that are out there. So you still have limited buyers. And, so pricing a home, strategizing it, staging it, preparing it, marketing it, getting it prepared to get on the market to max exposure is key right now. But I also believe, hitting the trenches, talking to people, telling people what you have available. We've swayed away from that. We've stayed away from the personal touch. And, we're so accustomed to hiding behind our phones, or we're texting people, and we don't have that personal touch.
Yeah.
And to me, it's very important to have that personal touch and start talking to people. Hey, by the way, do you know I have this listing coming up? And networking, letting that out there, let the information out there so that people know what is available, what is coming to market. And that's very important. That's about adapting with the times.
Yes, and real estate is still definitely a relationship business.
Absolutely.
And it seemed like before, like you have to always go see the client even to get a signature. Now I'm kind of aging myself, but nowadays everything, you don't even really have to, everything's done digitally. So it is important to communicate and keep those relationships going. So what do you think separates someone who is reacting to the headlines, or someone who is grounded in making long-term decisions?
The long-term, it all depends on what their long-term goals are, is what I always say, right? If somebody's trying to get into the market today, for example, I always say you gotta at least come into it expecting a 5-year goal. You can't come into it short-term anymore. You have to
those days are gone.
You got to look out 5 years out. And if you're not looking out 5 years out, forget about it. Don't bother, because you're never going to get the result you think you're going to do. And if you're banking on quick equities or quick value increases, it's not there again either. You got to look at different avenues. And I always say that to people, reevaluate your situation before you get into it. So anybody that buys a home with me, I look at every step of the way. I look at all their finances. I look at what the affordability is. I do spreadsheets for everybody so they know right down to the nickel what they got to spend, what it's going to cost them to buy the home, what it's going to cost them on a monthly to afford the home. And they have all of that at hand. And they'll know based on their income, where they stand, what the percentage of that they're using from their income to hold that household. They got to know that. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't realize how much of my salary am I put towards my home just to afford to live in my home? You know, what are my
Right.
living costs? So all of that's laid out to everybody that, you know, we deal with basically.
You're the guy that says, I have a spreadsheet for that.
Exactly. I create spreadsheets for everything.
So what do you think about the buyer psychology right now? Like sometimes they have this story they're telling themselves about rates, and how do you think their buyer takes are right now on interest rates?
With the buyers, there's two ways the way I look at it. There's the buyers that follow the propaganda or follow everything that the media is saying.
Mm-hmm.
They believe in what the media is saying, and they just fall in that trap. And then there's the savvy buyer that, you know, is open to listening and open to hearing what you have to say. You know, buyers are always afraid to jump in. Let's face it. That's the reality. Why are they afraid? Because they don't know, is the housing market, is the house they're buying, is it going to sustain? Is it going to stay in the value? Is it going to reduce in value? Is it, you know, is there going to be negative equity? Is there going to be positive equity there? They don't know. Then, you know, what's the interest rate going to do? Are we holding the rates? Are the rates increasing? Are they dropping? Because, you know, a lot of people tend to buy at their max value. And I always say, never buy at your max value anyways. But they do. And when you buy at the max value, and if anything changes, then their lifestyle changes. Then they got to make decisions. And a lot of people got caught as, you know, people that bought in 2022 when the market was high, interest rates were low. Guess what? Now, all those people now, you know, they're taking thousands and thousands of dollars of hits right now. And I'm not talking tens of thousands, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, you know, you imagine you come into a country or you try to buy a home and all of a sudden you're losing in 5 years, you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars that nobody wants. So people are afraid right now. And I think right now that the buyers have to be educated. It is our job as agents to educate the people. And the problem is we don't spend enough time educating the people. All we want to do is transactions. We just want to get the deal done, move on to the next. But what they don't realize is as you educate the client, you're building a relationship with them. And when you build that relationship with them, they're going to refer you. You're going to get other business that comes with it. And that's very important. And that's important to me in my business. I never buy a property for somebody if I wouldn't do the deal for myself. And that's how I treat the business.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were talking about trust before. Then you build that relationship of trust.
Yes,
It's kind of like that saying that you date the rate and you marry the house.
absolutely. Exactly.
So the commitment is to the house, not the interest rate.
Absolutely.
So it's that price point that that really counts. So what about seller psychology? I know a lot of sellers are really like set on that price point of yesterday's prices and thinking that that's the value of their home. And
I'll tell you, like I'll tell you from a recent experience. I have a house that's listed. I've never had this happen to me before. I had 2 deals, and both times we signed accepted. One was a firm deal in this market, which is very unusual. And another one was a short 2-day conditional period. No checks were brought. The deposit wasn't brought. The deal fell through just on the basis that they didn't even give us the deposits. And so you can see a lot of people are either having buyer's remorse or they're getting hesitant. And so how do you deal now with your seller? So how do I now talk to my seller and say, hey, wait a second, seller, like this has never happened to me before, and assure the seller now that, you know, A, there's nothing wrong with your home, and B, this is just, you know, based on what the market is doing and the fear that people are having making purchases. Because most of the people that are looking at this specific home are first-time home buyers.
right,
And
it's in that price point.
exactly. So and then you get buyer's remorse, as you know. So a lot of people second guess themselves. And why do they second guess themselves? Because people have a tendency to say, oh, by the way, I just bought this home. And then everybody believes they're an expert. Oh, but why did you buy that
Gotta
home
love
for?
that.
You could have bought this home for this value, or you could have did this and you could have did that. And it creates doubt,
Yeah.
right? And then they don't fulfill their side of the deal. So my sellers know with me, I fully communicate with them. I'm open book with them. I tell them every step of the way so they know exactly what's going on. So there's no surprises. And again, it goes back to educating again our clients, right? Telling them where's the market, what is listed, what are we competing with our home that's listed, how do we compare to those homes? So they need to understand all of that, because if they don't understand what's listed and what we're competing and what we're up against, they're still always going to believe their home always has greater value. Because let's face it, every seller believes their home is worth more. That's the reality.
That is the reality. So you've been through some shifting markets. So tell me what habits you have that keep you steady while some others might panic.
I'm always on my phone. I talk to everybody. So whether the market's up or down, changing, I'm talking to everybody.
Who's everybody?
I'm talking to anybody and everybody about real estate, whether they're my friends, whether they're clients, whether they're just people I just meet. I'm talking to everybody about real estate. It doesn't matter who it is. If I go to the gym, I talk to somebody about real estate. When I first started at the gym, for example, I never told anybody I was in real estate. I never wanted anybody to know I was in real estate. That's the truth. And there's other realtors that go to that gym. And I always said I was the caretaker, to be honest with you. And people were just kind of looking at me like, okay, this guy's kind of weird, but whatever, right? And eventually, coach started to talk to people and said, no, that guy's a realtor. And everybody started to come towards me and talk to me about the business, about the real estate.
People love talking about real estate.
Exactly. So it ended up, I'm talking to everyone about it. And before you know it, every time I go into the gym, everybody's like, hey, Edgar, what about this? Edgar, what about that? And I'm getting business from them that I would never expect it to get. And meanwhile, the other realtors that were in there, and no offense to them, they just never took the time to talk to anybody. Right? So there's a difference on that. Right? And to me, it's all about the educating. As long as you talk to people, you educate them, you tell them what's going on, you're honest with them. And if they sense that and they know that, and they know you're not just going after them because you want that transactional deal, they'll always come back to you.
So it sounds like what you're saying is you're lead generating by putting in the time and spending time with people, right? And you're willing to just put yourself out there.
Always. I don't care what it is. Anybody can call me. I always say, listen, if you have any questions, you want to know something, you want to know if what this house sold for, whatever it is, just call. I'll tell you. Even if you don't deal with me, it doesn't matter. I will still coach you. I will still give you advice. I'll still lead you the right way.
And it keeps you top of mind too.
Absolutely.
So if they're thinking of real estate, you're the one that's talking to them. So
exactly. And that's what I want.
So if you're speaking with a buyer, like, what's one belief that would immediately elevate their buyer making decision?
So when I'm talking to the buyers, I always go through the home thoroughly with them.
Okay.
So I can honestly tell you, I've walked away from deals where I've said to the buyer, if you want to buy this home, I'm not buying it for you. It's just not worth it. And I said, because in the end, you're going to call me to come and sell it. And it's a home that I know we're just going to have problems selling. And they just kind of look at you and they're like, really, Edgar, you're going to walk away from a deal? I'm like, yeah, because why would I buy you into a home or put you into something that doesn't make sense? So when I buy something for a buyer, I go through every inch of that home. I tell them what I think about it. I tell them about the location. I tell them if there's an adjoining street that I don't like, whether it's high traffic, low traffic, whether it's facing east, west, what the preference is with the sun. If they want sun in the afternoon, sun in the morning, I go through all of that. So I explain all those details to all my buyers when I'm going through the home.
Well, of course, there's no such thing as a perfect house,
No.
But usually they say you can meet the top 5 criteria.
Exactly. So
The most important things.
Yeah, so I always ask them
buyer.
that. So every time I always say to my client, send me a wish list. Tell me what your wish list is.
Yeah.
Once I know what their wish list is, then I can go based on that.
Yeah, and
And it's-
prioritize it.
You got it. And until then, I'll just continue sending them stuff, or I'll keep talking to them about certain homes. But once I have that wish list, we can narrow it down. Once we narrow it down, we always find the home that they want.
And at the end of the day, if you showed them the pros and cons and they understand 100% what, say, the cons are, and they still want to move forward, at least you've done your part in making sure that they're aware of it.
Always. So if there's cons to it, and if I disagree with certain things that they want, I lay it out there. And I always say to them, listen, you got to watch out for this, or there's an issue here, or I don't agree with this. They at least know from my perspective what my thoughts are and what I'm guiding them with. In the end, ultimately, it's their money. It's their decision. I don't control that. They do.
I had a similar situation with a friend of mine who wanted to buy a house in an area that had some low income housing around it. And, you know, I said, I wouldn't buy here. You might have a hard time selling. And she said, I know that. I get it. Thank you. But I still want this house. So then at least you've done your part.
Exactly.
So that's okay. But besides real estate, I understand you're a boxer.
I am. I love
Tell me
boxing.
about that.
I'll tell you how that worked out. My son actually had joined a boxing club, and over the time he says, Dad, you're going to love it. I think you should come. And I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. I'll consider it. Then on Father's Day, he comes home and he's got a set of gloves for me, boxing gloves.
Okay.
He says, Dad, guess what? This is your Father's Day gift. Here's your gift. We're going to class together. So
Nice.
I was like, okay, I'll chance it. We'll see what it's like. I don't know whether I could sustain it or not. But I took the chance, right? I wanted to do it with him. And so I went to the class and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I got addicted to it. So he says to me, he says, Dad, you know what? I'm going to fight in a gala. And I got to train for the next, I don't know if it was 8 or 9 months. And he goes, I want you by my side while I'm training, and we're going to do this together. And I
Okay.
said, great, let's do it. How many days a week do I got to go with you? Well, we're going to do 5-6 days a week.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, really? I go, I don't know if I can do 5-6 days. Like I have to change my plans and I have to change my schedule. I have to change a bunch of things, but I wanted to support him. Right. And as I got more involved with him, I got more addicted to it. That's the reality. Right. So we trained, very, very hard. We sparred together, which people were against me fighting against my son, which wasn't, I ended up losing, to be honest with you. But
You're admitting it.
I'm admitting it because I had to take the knee once. Right? He actually cracked my rib
Oh boy.
when we were in the ring. So,
Wow.
but we're both very competitive. That's the truth.
Wonder where he gets that from, man.
Yeah, no kidding. And so the funny thing is I was always told, don't hit him. My wife would always say, don't hit him. You cannot hit him. You're not allowed to hit him. And I said, but have you had the same conversation with him? He's allowed to hit me, but I'm not allowed to hit him. I said, all cards are off the table when we're in the ring. And even coach had said, oh my goodness, good luck. Because we were both going at it pretty heavy with each other, to be honest with you. So then he fought in the gala, and I continued.
Okay.
And now I've been fighting for 3 years, and we have a couple of fights coming up, which we're excited about. And I'm still training 5-6 days a week, and I'm excited. I'm ready for it. I like the challenge. I'm very competitive, if you haven't known yet.
So where can they come watch you compete?
So one of them is going to be at, oh my God, let me just remember here. So one was at CBC. Oh, it's at the Woodbine, there. So one of the fights will be at Woodbine. The other one's going to be at the Rebel Club. So, yes. So the Rebel is going to be part. So what happened was, I guess I'll make a long story short here for you.
That's okay. I'm enjoying the story.
Last year, I was doing some physical tests, and they found something in my heart, an anomaly in the artery.
Okay.
So I have a lot of doctor friends. And when I was going through that, I had met a cardiac surgeon when we went to see the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. And we ended up hanging out together. He met a few of our pro boxers from our gym because they were fighting in the card. One of the pro boxers were fighting in that card. And we created this friendship together. So a few months later, 6 months later, I had done that test. And my cardiologist had sent me to do the test for my physical because I do it every year. So I send the report over to Bobby and I said, hey, Bobby, what's going on with this? Like, what does this mean? He goes, oh my God, Edgar, like, I think I'm going to have to open you up and fix you. I'm like, are you for real? Like, so I got scared. And I'm like, he goes, make sure you're not boxing because he knows I box, and make sure you're not exerting yourself. Make sure you're not doing this and that. And if you do feel anything, stop. So I was kind of like hesitant. I'm like, oh boy, now what am I going to deal with here? So luckily he got me in right away. We did additional tests, and luckily everything worked out in my favor. So we kept talking, and he trains and he boxes as well. So we had a fireside chat once with him. I think it was in the month of October. I don't even remember the exact month, last year. And he challenged me to the fights. So I'm actually fighting the cardiac surgeon.
That told you not to fight.
That told me not to fight. And I said, no cheating, because,
he knows your condition.
Exactly. And I said, I'm going to have a doc in my corner backing me up just in case. So we have that challenge going on.
That's pretty cool. I might have to come out and watch those fights.
Yes, I'm excited. You should come.
Well, what I appreciate about today's conversation is that we didn't just talk about inventory rates and numbers. We talked about thinking, we talked about posture, we talked about the internal discipline it takes to stay grounded when the headlines are loud and uncertainty feels amplified. What separates reactive decision makers from grounded ones isn't access to more information. It's the interpretation. It's emotional regulation. It's the ability to zoom out and ask, am I responding to data or to fear? If there's one belief I pull from this entire conversation with Edgar today, it's this, that the market doesn't reward panic, it rewards clarity. So Edgar, you've clearly lived through a lot of markets, and it seems like it's been your understanding of the market, your decision-making, your perseverance, that has created a wealth for you and your clients. And sometimes you have to kind of go through a little bit of the hard times in order to get the wealth that people are looking for in real estate. So I really appreciate you being here today and bringing a lot of depth to this conversation. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, or simply want guidance from a true market expert, Edgar Melo is a top choice in the industry. And to everyone listening, if this episode shifted how you're interpreting today's market, share it, send it to someone who needs a steadier lens, because better decisions don't come from louder voices. They come from clearer thinking. Until next time.